Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Yeah, it's really good to be back.
So, today's content is actually derived from a SpeakDuo lesson.
Right.
And just quickly, you can go to SpeakDuo.com to meet new people from around the world who are practicing English on video calls to become more confident with their English speaking abilities. It's honestly a great way to actually use what we cover here.
Absolutely. But right now, we are really focusing on the advanced learner. You know, the professional who already knows the basics, but wants to, sharpen their edge in the boardroom, or maybe ace a high-level interview.
Precisely. Yeah, we have 9 phrases today, and these aren't just, words. They are tools for strategy, for management, and really projecting authority. So let's just dive straight into the analysis. No more fluff.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, let's start with the phrase that basically governs how information moves in an office. To loop someone in.
Oh yeah, this is an absolute staple of modern email culture.
Right. I think most people understand the basic definition, which is to include someone in a conversation or a project so they stay informed. But how is this actually different from just telling someone or CCing them?
Well, that is the key nuance here. If I just tell you something, it's a one-off event. It's totally static.
Right.
But looping someone in implies geometry. You are opening a circle of communication that is already flowing. You're pulling a new person inside that current and then letting the flow continue.
Ooh, I like that. It suggests ongoing involvement rather than just a quick status update.
Exactly. It feels much more collaborative. But honestly, there is a strategic, maybe slightly cynical nuance here, too.
Oh, how so?
Well, you often loop someone in when you need to cover your back. I mean, you aren't asking them to do the work. You are just making them a witness to the process.
Ah, right. Like bringing your boss into an email chain so they can't say they didn't know later.
Precisely. Compare looping in to informing. Informing sounds very rigid and top-down. But if you say, hey, I'm going to loop you in on this thread so you can see the client's feedback firsthand, it sounds like you're doing them a favor.
Even if you're actually just adding to their inbox clutter.
Yeah, pretty much.
So for our listeners who might be preparing for the IELTS speaking part 2, how would they deploy this in an exam setting?
Okay, so imagine the examiner asks you to describe a time you worked in a team. You shouldn't just say, I told my boss. Instead, you could say, about halfway through the project, we realized the budget was tight, so I decided to loop the finance manager in early.
To avoid any nasty surprises later.
Exactly. It shows you understand proactive, professional communication.
That's a great tip. All right, moving from communication to time management. The next phrase is to circle back.
Ah, yes. The professional procrastinator's favorite tool.
It really can be, can it? So the definition is to talk about a topic again later, or to return to someone with more information. But why do we use this instead of just saying, I'll reply later, or let's return to this?
Because I'll reply later is purely functional, and it can actually sound a bit dismissive or vague.
Yeah, true.
Circle back. Again, it uses that geometry. It softens the delay. It implies a firm commitment to close the loop later. It suggests that we are going on a journey away from the topic, maybe to gather data, but the trajectory is destined to return.
It sounds much more reliable, like you haven't forgotten them.
Exactly. And it is a vital meeting tactic.
How do you mean?
Well, if you are in a boardroom and 2 directors are arguing about something that isn't even on the agenda, you don't just say, stop talking.
Right, that wouldn't end well.
No. You say, this is a really valid point, but let's put a pin in it and circle back to it after we've covered the quarterly results.
Ah, so you validate them while effectively shutting them up.
You got it. It's a total power move.
That's brilliant. And for an English learner, say in IELTS context.
It's fantastic for describing a negotiation. You could say, we couldn't agree on the salary initially, so we moved on to benefits and circled back to the compensation package at the end. It sounds incredibly composed and mature.
Perfect. Now, once you've circled back, you might actually need to analyze the problem, which brings us to our third phrase, to drill down on.
I really love this one because the imagery is so clear.
It implies vertical movement, right? To look at something in great detail to find specific facts or root causes.
Yes, if you compare drill down to words like analyze or examine, there's a huge difference. You can analyze a painting from 5 feet away.
Right, just looking at the surface.
Exactly. But you drill down through layers of surface material to find the gold or the problem buried underneath. It implies effort, force, and getting into the granular details.
It definitely sounds a bit more aggressive than just saying investigate.
It is. It's usually used when the surface level data just isn't giving you the answers. Like if your boss looks at a sales chart and sees a slump, they won't just say, look at this. They'll say, these numbers are too vague. We need to drill down on the regional variance to see exactly which store is losing money.
So it's really about getting past the fluff.
Exactly. And in an IELTS context, if you are asked about how you solve complex problems, don't just say, I thought about it a lot.
Right.
Say something like, the issue wasn't obvious at first, so I had to drill down on the user data to find the bug. It shows that you are thorough.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's shift gears now to a phrase that raises the stakes significantly. Mission critical.
This is a great example of business borrowing from the military.
Yeah. The definition is something extremely important or essential for the success of a project or an organization. But we already have words like essential, vital, and important. Why say mission critical?
Because important is totally subjective. My morning coffee is important to me, but it's not mission critical.
I don't know, on some mornings.
Fair enough. But seriously, mission critical implies a binary outcome, success or failure. If a mission critical component fails, the entire operation collapses. In the military, that means lives are lost. In business, it means the company goes under or the product fails completely.
So using it for trivial things would make you look a bit silly?
Oh, totally. If you say, making sure we get the right sandwiches for the meeting is mission critical, you sound like you have zero perspective.
Right.
You use it for infrastructure. Like, we can delay painting the office, but upgrading our cybersecurity is mission critical. It tells the listener, do not cut the budget here.
It really forces prioritization.
Exactly. And for a student taking an exam, you might talk about your tools. You could say, I can study anywhere, but having a stable internet connection is mission critical for my online degree.
It shows you clearly know the difference between a luxury and a necessity.
Spot on.
Okay, now let's talk about where all this mission-critical work actually happens. The phrase is, in the trenches.
Yet another military metaphor. We really do love war terms in business.
We really do. This phrase means working in the most difficult and active part of a job or project. But there is a huge nuance here regarding who is actually allowed to say it, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Being in the trenches refers to the literal front lines of World War I. So it implies mud, danger, grit, and, most importantly, shared suffering.
Right.
It is the exact opposite of strategy or high-level oversight. If a CEO sitting in a corner office says to the floor staff, hey, I'm in the trenches with you guys, the staff will absolutely hate him.
Because he's not the one getting his hands dirty.
Right. It's all about solidarity. You use this phrase to describe the hard, unglamorous execution work. Like, the managers have the vision, but the junior developers are the ones in the trenches fixing the code at 3 a.m.
So it clearly distinguishes the thinkers from the doers.
Or it unites the doers. In an IELTS speaking test, if you're describing a stressful period, you could say, it was a tough month. We weren't just supervising, we were all in the trenches together to meet that deadline. It implies deep camaraderie through hardship.
I love that. Now, sometimes when you are in the trenches, the old ways of working just aren't enough anymore. You need to shake up the system.
Which brings a completely different energy to the conversation.
Yeah. To shake up means to make big changes in an organization or a system to improve it. But how does this actually differ from just saying reorganize or change?
Well, change can be really slow, like the changing of the seasons. And reorganize sounds bureaucratic, like you're just moving desks around.
I love that. Now, sometimes when you are in the trenches, the old ways of working just aren't enough anymore. You need to shake up the system.
Which brings a completely different energy to the conversation.
Yeah. To shake up means to make big changes in an organization or a system to improve it. But how does this actually differ from just saying reorganize or change?
Well, change can be really slow, like the changing of the seasons. And reorganize sounds bureaucratic, like you're just moving desks around. Shake-up is intensely physical and disruptive. Think of a snow globe. Nothing inside moves until you violently shake it. It implies that the current situation is stagnant, settled, and dusty. You need to apply real force to wake everyone up.
So it's usually used when things are going badly?
Often, yes, or just when people are becoming complacent. A new manager often comes in to shake things up. It implies they are going to break old habits and force new interactions.
Like the department was moving too slowly, so the director decided to shake up the teams to spark some creativity?
Exactly. It sounds inherently risky,
It does.
but with high reward. If you are answering a question about your daily routine in an exam, you could say, "My routine was getting boring, so I decided to shake it up by going for a run before work instead of sleeping in." It shows active, deliberate agency.
And if that shakeup works perfectly, you might call the result a slam dunk.
Moving from the trenches straight to the basketball court.
Right. So a slam dunk is something that is certain to be a success. But again, we already have words like sure thing or guaranteed win. What does slam dunk add to the mix?
Emphasis and supreme confidence. In basketball, a regular jump shot can easily miss. A layup can be blocked. But a slam dunk, where you physically force the ball down through the hoop with your hand, is a very high percentage, high impact move. It's a statement.
So you wouldn't use it for a quiet, modest success.
Definitely not. It's for undeniable wins. In sales, you might say, "This client loves our product already. Getting them to sign the contract is going to be a slam dunk."
You are projecting total inevitability.
Yes, though it can sound a bit arrogant if you aren't careful.
Yeah, you really have to be.
Right. Exactly. If you call it a slam dunk and then you miss, you look very foolish. But used correctly, it inspires a lot of confidence in your team. In IELTS, if you talk about a skill you are highly proficient at, you might say, "I was worried about the interview, but the technical test was a slam dunk for me."
Nice. Let's move to a phrase that is a bit more about fitting in than standing out. To conform to.
This one definitely feels a bit heavier, psychologically speaking.
It does. The definition is to behave according to the usual standards or rules of a group. Why not just say follow the rules or obey?
Because obey is strictly about authority. You obey a specific person or a specific law. Conform is more about shape.
Shape?
Yeah, it comes from the idea of molding yourself to fit a container. It implies social pressure and the suppression of your own individuality just to match the collective.
That sounds quite negative, honestly.
It often can be. People constantly talk about refusing to conform. But in business, a certain level of conformity is required.
Like conforming to the dress code?
Right, or conforming to the corporate culture. It suggests a conscious effort to blend in. A great sentence for a workplace discussion would be, "He is a brilliant worker, but he struggles to conform to our strict office hours."
It really highlights that friction between the individual and the group.
Exactly. And for IELTS, if you're discussing the teenage years, you could say, there is immense pressure on young people to conform to the expectations of their peers.
That's a really strong example. Finally, let's look at our last phrase, which sounds very sophisticated. To deploy.
Oh, I love this word. It instantly makes everything sound smarter.
It really does. It means to move or use resources or software effectively in a specific situation. But in normal everyday life, we just say use, right?
Right. You use a pen. You send an email. But deploy implies deep strategy and calculation.
Right.
You deploy troops. You deploy capital. You deploy code. It suggests that the thing you are using is a highly valuable asset, and you are placing it in a specific position to achieve a tactical goal.
So you wouldn't deploy your lunch.
Huh! Well, only if you were strategically throwing it at someone. No, you only use it for significant resources. In a crisis meeting, a manager might say, "We need to deploy our best engineers to fix this server outage immediately."
It sounds like they are moving chess pieces on board.
Exactly. It adds a thick layer of professionalism. If you're taking an exam and talking about a country's economy, you could say the government needs to deploy more resources into renewable energy. It sounds so much more academic than just saying, spend money on.
It really does. Well, we have covered a lot of ground here today, from the trenches to the boardroom.
We really have. These phrases drill down, circle back, mission critical. They are the true vocabulary of decision makers.
And now we need to make sure they actually stick.
It is time for the quiz.
All right. This is where we see if you are actually paying attention.
So let's test your memory. I'll read a sentence with a blank, and you choose the best phrase to fill it. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
And I'll try to repeat the relevant phrase while reading the options to really help lock it into your memory.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Question 1. The project manager sent a brief email update specifically to blank regarding the unexpected budget cuts. Option A, safely tie the director up. Option B, simply loop the client in. Option C, closely reel the board on.
So think about what we said about opening that circle of communication. We are looking to loop the client in. Which one is it?
The answer is option B, simply loop the client in.
Right. You loop them in to keep them informed without asking them to do the actual work.
Question 2. The initial presentation was far too broad, so the analysts had to blank the specific regional sales figures. Option A, actively press down onto. Option B, strictly push down into. Option C, closely drill down on. Remember the vertical movement here, going from the surface to the depth. You need to drill down on the data.
The answer is option C, closely drill down on.
Getting straight to those granular details.
Question 3. We haven't reached a solid consensus today, but we certainly plan to blank to this complicated issue next week. Option A, promptly circle back. Option B, quickly pivot around. Option C, swiftly return about.
Think about the geometry of the meeting. You leave the topic, but you commit to return to it. You circle back.
The answer is option A, promptly circle back.
It's the ultimate professional way to hit pause.
Question 4. The newly appointed CEO intends to completely blank the outdated organizational structure to improve efficiency. Option A, radically break down. Option B, forcefully turn over. Option C, completely shake up.
Think of that snow globe analogy, a vigorous disruptive action to stop stagnation. You shake up the system.
The answer is option C, completely shake up.
Breaking the status quo.
Question 5. While cosmetic updates are undeniably nice, upgrading the main server infrastructure is absolutely blank. Option A, entirely vital for us. Option B, truly mission critical. Option C, highly mandatory now.
Think about the military stakes we discussed. Absolute success or failure. It is mission critical.
The answer is option B, truly mission critical.
Not just nice to have, but utterly essential for survival.
Question 6. The directors often devise the overall strategy, but the junior staff are the ones blank executing the daily tasks. Option A, deeply in the trenches. Option B, heavily on the front line. Option C, firmly at the barricade.
Think about the mud and the grit of the front lines, doing the hard, shared work. They are in the trenches,
The answer is option A, deeply in the trenches.
exactly where the real execution happens.
Question 7. Given their competitors' recent public relations disaster, successfully securing the lucrative government contract felt like a blank. Option A, absolute grand slam. Option B, absolute slam dunk. Option C, absolute sure thing.
Think basketball here. Forceful, highly confident, undeniable success. It's a slam dunk,
The answer is option B, absolute slam dunk.
a very high confidence win.
And finally, question 8. Despite his highly unconventional methodology, the brilliant researcher eventually had to blank the laboratory's strict protocols. Option A, carefully conform to. Option B, strictly adhere onto. Option C, formally comply into.
Think about molding yourself to fit the exact shape of the rules. You must conform to the standard.
The answer is option A, carefully conform to.
Fitting right into the collective.
All right, how did you do? If you got all 8, you are definitely ready to run the next meeting.
And if you missed a few, really, don't worry. The key is to start listening for these phrases out in the real world. You will hear them everywhere now. In the news, in movies, and definitely floating around your office.
Our advice? Just pick just one phrase. Maybe circle back or loop in. Try to use it in an email or a meeting tomorrow. See how it changes the tone of your communication.
It really signals that you are in total control of the conversation.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Superbly Said. Don't forget, SpeakDuo is now available on iPhone, so you can just click the link in the description to download the app and practice these phrases in real conversations.
Get in the trenches and start speaking.
We will circle back with more vocabulary soon. Thanks for listening.